Hi, Russ here from Flying UFO, Paranormal TV and Flying Saucer Television. And I have got Mark Bennett tonight. And it's just a chat around the campfire tonight, basically. I hadn't spoken to Mark for a few months. He was on last time, if you remember. And just catching up and seeing how he's doing. So, how are you doing, Mark?
I'm all right, Russ. Thank you for that. Nothing much has changed for me. I've kind of, I'm still into what I'm into. I was kind of pushing the content, video content of my channel with and page that was on, which still is on Facebook. I know it sounds confusing, but I've just got rid of it off of YouTube because I'm on the change. I'm not. What I mean is, I kind of moved it on into another media spectrum. Basically, you're going to use the same um, sort of video content kind of thinking, but put it into music, maybe like a music video and do other things.
Right.
Maybe it's accepted a bit better. I wasn't a great communicator to start, and the bits and pieces that I was doing or trying to accumulate through video was it kind of built what it did on UFO Watch UK. But I think I just need to reinvent myself and just kind of put it. I suppose just build a happier vibe, really, because at the end of the day, if you can use content material, that means you paid for it commercially,
Yeah.
music and stock footage, and then you kind of just put your artistic flair into it. I think it's more accepted, isn't it? Half the time.
Well, the
Uh,
problem is, it's like I think what people are wanting more than anything is like, what you would call live footage and people's,
mm,
sort of like home camera footage and like that
and
type of,
reels.
yeah, sort of
Uh,
like, which is all very well and good, but the thing
excuse me.
is, how many times does it happen? I mean, for some of us, it happens quite a lot, like I
Mm,
was saying earlier. But like to get hold of footage, sort of like it's, it's not easy. It's not something that
yeah,
just happens to everybody. Some people are
yeah,
never going to see a UFO. They're never going to see a flying saucer. Never going to see a triangle or whatever.
yeah.
In their lifetime. Some are, and some are going to be people that are going to see him all the time, and
Yeah.
might be lucky enough to catch them. So, but I mean, your content. I mean, I've seen, like your videos, and the problem is they're too good. It's like they're fantastic. It's that what you need is for reconstructions of people that are making documentaries, to show this is a reconstruction. Like the times when somebody hasn't got a camera
Yes.
and when somebody's missed the opportunity, sort of like, and
Yeah.
to try to fit in like a video clip to show people, but
Yes.
making people aware
Yeah.
that this is a reconstruction.
Yeah. Commercial. Literally, you are right. It's like a commercial clip of
Yeah.
what I've pretty much seen, and you are right. And it's really weird for me, Russ. I won't lie. I mean, I've gone through all the route, and I've been at this for. I'm like nearly 50. I won't lie. So I've been at this like over 30 years, and I've been in watching, learning, growing, trying to figure all these things out. And there's two occult circles you have to be aware of, and then there are religious. There were two different sects. There were two divisions in this world, and we call them good and bad, and everyone else can call them whatever they want, lumins or luminists or luminatus or lumens. It doesn't matter. People are all, they're more awake than, and they're more equipped with the knowledge. Do you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if a 9-year-old would educate me now and tell me, look, shut up, mate. I know more than you. It wouldn't surprise me one bit. But
There's
the point
knowing,
is,
or there's two things, and that is people can, sort of like spill out bulge to people and say, this is what I
mm,
know. It's not what they know, it's what they've read. There's a difference
yeah,
between people knowing and people just being able to just spew out you know, something from a book, from a magazine, you know, and sort of like be word perfect and, you know, sort of like chapter and verse. But there's
Yeah.
a difference when it's happened to you. Like
Mm.
yourself, you'll know. Two
Yeah.
different things. And sometimes people cannot, you know, articulate and communicate with people as good and as these youngsters or these other people that seem to be able to just, you know, like tell you everything you need to know about, you know, like what happened, where you followed, you know, where UFOs started and to the end. But the problem is, you know, it's all read. It's all from, you know, it's from a book. And that's the problem because what you get and what I'm finding, I'm talking about my experience and I'm having people say, oh, yeah, but this is what it's really about. And but no, you're talking and what you're telling me is from a book, what somebody wrote
Yeah.
20, 30 years ago, right? Yeah. And it's their thoughts on what is going on. That's all. It's not proof. And the problem is, a lot of these people with these amazing thoughts have actually got no evidence. Whereas us, you know, like going out and filming, getting zapped by something, things
Mm.
coming out of the sea, things falling, and my mates filming as well. And it's like, you know, it's when you've got something good, sometimes it's too good. I mean, I've showed
Mm.
people, you know, sort of like have come to my home from TV companies, and I've said, you know, this is what I filmed, this, and they sort of like sit and they look at each other, you know, sort of like, and all of a sudden, you know, sort of like, I get edited out. You know, sort of
Mm.
like, or some of the footage gets edited out as well,
Yeah, I hear what you're
or
saying there.
videotapes go missing.
Yeah.
They spend all day, you know, and they spend hours getting here. They spend all day filming, right? Yeah, a
Yeah.
6-man team. Think how much that must have cost, and then 2 days later you find out we've lost the videotape.
Yeah.
Now, personally, myself,
No.
I would have expected heads to have rolled and people to have been on the dole for that.
I understand that.
You know what
Yeah,
I
I
mean?
really do. Yeah, I do actually, because yeah, it's it's quite something hod carrying, shall we say? But when you're carrying what we do, and there's no bricky but ourselves, and there is this great concept that you keep stacking every brick and every mortar and every power for everyone to understand. It's called ufology, and you just people are there just using and manipulating, and it's very difficult. And there's two sets of mind control in my version of
Oh
events.
yeah.
Is how I see things, and yeah, and apparently they're all at the top, aren't they? There is
Well,
no
no,
one
they're
above
not
them.
actually. They're not.
That's funny. That's the
They
funny
like to
bit.
think they
Yeah,
are.
yeah, yeah. But that's what I'm
And
trying to say. Is,
they tell the media that they are. But if
yeah,
the media knew about them and found out a little bit of, they seem to go around telling the media about people, so that people, you know, like don't appear on TV programs. Well, I've turned more TV programs down than I've had hot dinners and what have you.
I
You
think
know,
you're doing
because
well though.
sometimes, say again, sorry.
I sorry, I said I think you're doing well. I just every time I look, I just go, "Oh, Ross is in the news. Ross is doing well. He's getting another interview. You're getting quite a hard time, but you're always getting some.
The,
You're getting a bit of a. You get more respect, although you deserve a lot more respect. But you're getting a lot of work, and it seems like you've been approached more. Or there's an interview, or there's something. I don't know if I'm on the path of empathy that it should be like the way it should be for us. I'm sorry about that, but I don't know. But
well,
as
the
far as
thing is, you know, it's like Christmas time. You know, sort of like I was asked, you know, before Christmas last year. I was asked, do you want to take part? We're going to be going down and we're going to be filming where all this started down in Warminster. And I
Wales,
just said, no,
oh,
not interested in going backwards. You know, the thing is, like people, oh, well, so and so's wrote, well, as it happens, I wrote a book about what happened to me.
I really want
But,
to. I want to read that. As actually,
you know,
yeah.
so it's a case of I'm not wanting to go back to somebody else's story.
Is that
In the
live
first
now? Is
place.
that like you can buy that now, Ross? Just for me and everyone else, because it's best to be refreshed. Where can I get a copy of that? If
Well, it's
that's okay to
funnily
ask.
enough, it's on Amazon, and I didn't realize.
It's
I
on
am currently,
Amazon,
yeah,
like
it's
an
on
ebook,
Amazon.
ebook
You can get it on ebook. You can get it on
or hardback. Yeah,
not hardback. What do you call it? Just normal copy.
copy.
They
Yeah.
do an hardback. I am bothered with an ad. It's too expensive now. You know what I mean?
No, it's fair enough. But if you get it on ebook, everyone likes an
Oh
ebook.
yeah, and then
I'll
that's
buy
the
that,
second.
Ross.
That's the second book.
That's
That's
the
about the
second.
Berwyn Mountains.
The Welsh Mountains.
Yeah,
That one, I'd always like to learn that one. I'd like to learn both of yours actually, because your stories get more interesting and more interested every time I learn about it. It's just like everything else, you get so busy and wrapped up in your own.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. But
What?
you always kind of got this residue. You're always picking up on someone else's story, and it's like, well, I tell you what, it's probably good if I just buy 2 of your books, and I'm being serious. I will buy them tomorrow actually. Amazon, both
Don't
on
have
Amazon.
to.
Yeah,
Don't
I'm
have
going to
to.
get both of those on Amazon. I'm gonna have a little read of those and enjoy it
Well, the thing is, it's like I
as
was
as a
saying.
must do. I'm telling
I'm
myself.
trying to say to them, right? You're wanting to go backwards, and
Mm,
this is the problem. And this is one of the problems. It's like for a long time they're a magazine, and all the bills all the time. It were like Roswell, and it were like if you want
yeah.
Roswell, it were Rendlesham, and occasionally you might hear about what do you call it, Berwyn Mountains. You might hear about one or two other incidents that had happened. But the thing is,
Mm.
people don't hear about the other incidents. It's like my
Not here.
incident. I told about my incident. I was told by editor, "Oh, we can't have you talking about aliens with guns. We can't have you talking about a war." This is before the
Excuse me.
name
Sorry.
Super Soldier ever came out, right?
Mm.
Yeah. So it's like I'm thinking. So my old man says, "Well, look, I'll drop him like a hot potato. He's not helping you, you know, with your story, getting your story out. Is stopping you from getting your story out." He's just said, "Don't sell. Oh, it doesn't sell too much like that guy talking about conspiracy theories."
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, sort of like, so I knew then, sort of like,
Here's a mad one for you, Russ. Off because we're just around the campfire. It's not all orchestrated anyway. But I'm now moving into music videos, and
yeah,
I don't want to get myself shot in the foot before I start. But how about I do one about you as well? And I just have I'll pick a music tune, and I'm going to have your theme in it. And I have aliens. I'll have the stock footage in it, and we get a little a build up. No, on a nice way that builds up about your story, and I can put the Welsh mountains in it. I've got aliens and blah blah blah. And if you allow me, I can have permissions to put your face in it, and I'll just make a music video, and we kind of agree, and you go, yeah, I like that. It was like, well, we
so
can't sell it.
I get it
It
all
just becomes yeah. But
the
it
thing is,
comes.
I get it all the time. I mean,
Yeah.
every day I get somebody asking. It's like a nice chap. Sort of like now it's the case of we're making a film about you.
Yeah.
That's it. Oh, right. So, I had a chat and what have you. So now I had somebody else wanting to make a film. I don't know how serious. Anyway, the thing is, I had this group came over from America. Three guys came over last week, yeah. And I was
Oh, that's
ill.
nice.
I
Yeah.
was really ill. You know what I mean? I wasn't
Yeah.
myself. And
And
so they came
what?
over.
Do you mind saying what you're ill with? Is it the knees or something like that, or whatever it is? Do you mind
Pelvis,
saying?
knees, and
Yeah,
ME, and liver, and kidney.
that's a lot of pain.
So
Yeah.
anyway, so it's like I was in a lot of pain, having too many painkillers, having to come off it. Anyway, so the point
No, what
is,
I'm trying to say is you persevere with this, and you're really like, you're like the great ambassador for what you do. So just like people should respect that. That's what I think.
listen,
'Cause,
that ain't gonna happen. So forget about it. You know what I
but it
mean?
does when someone helps you to
No,
say so.
but
It's good. It's like, yeah, I
like don't worry
recognize
about
you.
it. As I learn, right? Yeah, and that was
Mm,
don't worry what anybody says. They say all sorts about me. I'm worse than what you say. This and if you knew the
mm,
truth, you know what I mean. You wouldn't want to be around where I am. You know what I
yeah.
mean. If the truth is, you know what I mean. Sort of like anyway.
Mm,
So the thing is, sort of like I'm nice with. If people are nice with me, I'm nice with them. and if they're
Yeah.
not, I'm not. So I just accept it like this, right? Yeah, I know what people are, and I tend to keep away. I like my own company these days.
Yeah, I get
You
that.
know what I mean? I like my own company. I like to listen to music and other things. And anyway, so the thing is, these guys turned up. They'd been on YouTube and been all over the place, and they turned up, and they wanted to do it within about 4 days. So
So,
the
but
the
what is exactly what is it happened? Are they
so
Americans or are
they
they
come over
British?
to film and they want to know my story. They gets here and it's like a mad dash and getting stuff working because I'd had a problem with my computer being hacked and what have
Yeah,
you. All sort of
yeah.
happened the week prior, not even a week prior, 4 days before all this. I'm having problems. I'm just getting a friend, Les, brilliant chap, who does all the stuff with orbs and what have you. Got some
Yes, I've
good
seen
stuff.
I've seen your shows with him. He's a really
Anyway,
nice
so
guy. Yeah,
he helped us out. Without Les, I would have been so. But
yeah.
I realised after an hour, these guys, I'm thinking to myself, they're not listening to what I'm saying. And then it's a bit of a Mickey take.
Yeah.
And I'm
Who are
thinking to
they? You're not
myself,
allowed to say who they are. Oh, right. Okay.
so you'll
And,
see it anyway if it comes out. And these
all right.
guys, there's a married man, right? Yeah, and two others come all the way from America, spent a night in an hotel, got an hotel, car driving around, and then going elsewhere. And I'm thinking, well, who's paying for all this? And I says it
Ah,
was, sort
that
of
that
like,
yeah, that made me think.
you
Yeah.
know, who's got the money? But the problem is, and this is a problem, as you're talking to them, you're realizing, it's like, what are they doing here? What are they actually doing here? Because they're not listening to me talking. I've just told them one aspect about being taken, about being abducted and being taken and put into this military unit. The first time it's happened all my life from being 16-year-old up
Mm.
until just after no just after my mum passed away. I had the um, implants taken from my ears and my eyes and my nose. So it's happened nearly all my life.
What
You know what
what
I'm
did
saying?
his yeah, do you mind me asking, what did his implants what do they look like? Are they like really small? Are they
I couldn't tell
oh, you
because
look,
when it were all happening, I was sort of like this, and I wasn't looking. I was like,
no.
I'm a wuss. If it comes to pain and stuff, you know what I mean? It's like,
No, because I
keep me
watched this
away from it.
no, I watched this show and I can't remember what it is. There was this doctor and he extracts
I've
these
seen it. I've
yeah,
seen it.
yeah.
Yeah,
It
he's a
makes you think they're so
orthopedic
tiny.
specialist for feet originally, and then he started taking him. He realised so he can operate on people. But
It's
I mean,
interesting because
I had one in my arm originally, and I sort of like got it out. And that's when I was working for this company, and I won't go into it because it was a silly thing to do, really. And I'm not sure what it was. And to be quite honest, when you work in an area and there's, like bits of metal and wood and stuff floating around, and you bang into stuff, going into loading bay and to the bins when you're taking all
yeah,
the waste products away, you never know whether something can go in you. And it's like working on a
yeah.
building site and anything else. It can happen. I mean, I was looking at some that cut out on my knee some year ago, and you know what it was?
Go on.
I'd come off my scooter and I'd gone down on some gravel, and I had gravel in my knees and stuff, and all
Yeah,
blood, and when it all goes purple,
yeah,
and I pulled this, and what the hell's that? And I got me, and I pulled it and got this with my knife,
yeah.
piece of gravel,
Yeah,
piece
we
of
can.
gravel. from an
There's
academic.
I hear what you're saying, but I almost want to defend you in that way, Ross. You don't sound like someone's complaining about a little bit of dust or a rock in his inside. And no. I think you're more wide awake. You definitely know what you're talking about. You've enjoyed it, and you're still here. I think you know more about the control systems, which is. Would you mind me saying? Do you think I believe sometimes I'm under mind control? I'm being affected by mind control everywhere I go. So you think those control elements? Would you be bold to say that maybe we're all under some sort of mind controlled
What you
attacks?
need to
Or
listen to, you need to listen to Joe. He's been on my show, and he was in part of the Montauk project. Joe.
I don't know who Joe is, but
Oh well, if you have a look on
I'll look
here
back.
and
Yeah.
just look for Joe. He went on about a month ago. I'm having him on again, and we were talking. We were talking about mind control and the technology, what they've got, the frequencies, when they can actually talk to you,
Yes.
direct frequency, and they can talk so only you can hear what they're saying. Nobody else. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? No.
Yeah. Quite a common thing.
It is.
Yeah,
It
and
is.
that's the thing, Ross. I was trying to pull you back. I was just like not being rude about it. I was like, no, you're better than this. I'm not going to let anyone think less of you. I'm going to keep it on point, and I'm going to say, kids, people listen to music channels and
Oh
just
yeah.
life itself. They're like,
Yeah.
nah, it's definitely. And you're allowed to say, is it Illuminati, Illuminatus? But it all boils down to a mind control, and then they
Of
think
course it is.
witches, they
Of
think
course it is.
Wiccans, they think
And the very
and
people.
they think technologies,
Yeah.
and that's where people's belief systems go. That's where I'm at.
Yeah,
So if
the
they
very
look at me
people
and
that are
you,
promoting this subject, UFOs,
yeah,
are the ones. I will just. Les was showing us this manual, and it says about a group, and it says we don't believe in paranormal is linked to UFOs, and well, yeah, it is.
technology.
No paranormal and
Sorry, no, I mean,
UFOs, and it's linked because if you
oh,
have a
they are
look on
linked.
maps, you've got sites where there's ghosts, where the crossover.
Yes.
Where there's been, like ghost scene. There's sometimes an haunted area, right? Yeah, haunted woods where there's been apparitions seen. There's very same
Yes.
places
Yes.
where UFOs have been seen or even landed. You know what I mean? And it's a case of how can you turn around and say that they're not connected? How can you do that? Especially when you've seen
Yeah.
it, when you've seen it and you've seen the flying saucers, and you can look on maps and you can see, like one of the areas, what I were talking about a while back, just down the road from where I was abducted, just I think it's a couple of mile, is a famous place where the Cottingley fairies were actually seen.
Right.
Then, not far from exactly that same place, I went missing. And, sort of like, then there's Spring Heel Jack, again seen around Bradford, these areas, right? Then we've got just over the road, Druid's Altar. You've got some of the old places around there that are haunted. Some of the old manor houses and what have you. And right over the road where a friend of mine's friend saw a giant when she was walking a dog, right? Yeah. Talking about a giant, this thing like a giant in like a skin diver's like uniform walked,
It sounds mad, but when
walked behind
it's
his
real,
truck,
isn't it?
like a truck at Old's Wood, logs, right? Yeah,
Yes.
full to the top of logs, and it walks from behind. It's looking over at her, so over 15 foot tall. You know what I mean? Looking over at her. Now, when I looked at the map, on that map, it says Romblesmore. Right?
Which is where is it?
It's going over to Ilkley. It goes from Romblesmore to Ilkleymore. And if you read about Romble, right, yeah, he was a giant.
Yeah.
and he threw these massive big stones around, sort of like over Ilkley, Ilkley Moor and what have you, like Cow and
Yeah.
Calf Rock. So they all fit in to these places, and Ilkley Moor, where the little green man was seen, and a flying saucer
Yeah.
in the 70s. So they've all got UFO connection, paranormal connection, ghosts, because there's ghosts being seen there. There's a famous stone there. There's only 2 stones like it in the world, and they're called one a swastika stone. And
Right.
they're not sure, where it came from, but there's one similar again in Italy. And we're looking at thousands of year old, these stone, So
They
it's
are.
like
Yeah.
there is paranormal. And the other thing as well, what we're finding, there's like Stonehenges that had been pulled down. Just found out a few years ago that a lot of these areas had like little Stonehenges and standing stones.
Yeah.
And what happened was that the council pulled them all down to build some of these tower blocks.
Mm. I wouldn't be surprised.
No, that's a
No, I
fact.
wouldn't. I wouldn't be
That's a
surprised. Yeah.
fact.
And yeah.
Unbelievable.
Well, it's all there. I mean, we know it's all there. The modern world is on a race, which is understandable because if you think of the modern race, I'm sorry, I'm going to go off on a weird tangent. I hope you can hear me. But the modern race is always on a big tangent. Every inch of ground, let's kind of build more houses, and then within those houses, we have to build a certain amount of businesses, and that's just the economic bubble. But that
It's always
stuff.
been like that.
Yeah, but
If you have a look at the world going back 2,000 years, it's always been spread out,
yeah,
move, sort of like the Vikings. Obviously, I'm Viking stock, and obviously, some of the areas there was a power struggle going on between Norway and Sweden, and so they were moving out. That there wasn't enough land for them coming over here, and it's the
causing
same
pressures.
thing.
Yeah,
The same thing's going on now
yeah.
around the
And I
world.
think what you're saying is, if I'm right to keep us on par, what we're talking about, the world is growing. There is a massive occult bubble that's very cleverly kept just under the brow of it all. In other words, it's the mainframe, isn't it?
It's always
The
been there.
machine. It is.
It's
It's the
always been there.
machine. It's the machines that keep it together, and that's how comms and all the rest of it, and control systems all kept. And I think systems and all the rest of it. And I think a lot of people might just like you're either like part of one control system or you're a part of the other control system. But if you're not, or even if you still are, but you're not privy, you're still going to get eaten up by the grind, aren't you? And
Well,
but
they like
for
to
those
try it.
that
They like to try it.
yeah, but what
You
I'm
know.
saying is that we're all still seeking knowledge because as much as you think you're in
Yeah,
those
of course.
systems, you're fed a lot of stuff, but you're not allowed. You're only allowed to grow when someone says you can grow, and what that means is, you're not really going to reach your full potential no matter what. But as far as being a spiritual person, that means I speak freely from here, and you ask those questions like a child, basically. And without going too mad on it, that me, you, and a lot of people that are still, in between the mountains, shall we say, or the valley of the mountains, we're still speaking and seeking those truths constantly. But I think rest of the world, and I do feel like sometimes I might be a bit isolated. It's just like they're all in with
I
it.
am.
Yeah,
I am.
and they're doing all right. I can't help it, but sometimes I think, yeah, they're doing all right. It's just like I just feel like I'm in that hard place.
I know what you're
Because,
saying, but
yeah,
talking about technology and what have you, I was talking to somebody the other day in media, and they said, "Oh, but you're telling us all this, stuff about being abducted, and you've got, you've got
here's one for you,
implants."
Russ. Speaking of being
Yeah.
abducted, isn't it hard that it's like if you could put that in a pill and say take it and then understand it, no one would touch that pill, not even to try and learn about it, but they'd take all the other weird drugs, wouldn't they? But it's
Oh
just
yeah,
like,
yeah,
no. But it's just like, how can
mm.
someone understand something? And they're like, nah, I don't want to know that one. No, I'd rather watch, you know, a
Yeah. I know what
million
you're saying.
horror films or a thousand reels of a cheetah and the leopard being torn apart or whatever. You
Oh
know, whatever.
yeah,
But
yeah.
they're into sick stuff. They're into some really dodgy stuff, and they're like staring at.
Oh, tell me
But
about it. Yeah.
just being openly and honest about what's it like to be abducted and understand what Russ is saying. They'll go, oh no, I don't want to do that, mate. But I'll sit on my toilet and flick through a million reels, watching
Yeah.
all that devastation and misery and fighting and all the rest of it and all that.
Mm.
And they're all amused. They're like,
Yeah, it's like I say
what?
to people,
It
if you've got
basically,
this
what I'm
silly
saying
panel,
is, there's nothing wrong with us
yeah,
talking. It's
no.
just like, isn't it weird how the brain works? It's like everyone else is doing this over here.
Well,
That's
it's
okay, isn't it?
the problem is that the people,
It's a bit mad.
people in
Mm,
general, have still got this peer pressure thing, and it's
yeah.
like I'm saying to people, if you've got this silly yellow and blue flag, you're wanting to go to war with Russia, like forget it, sort of like
Yeah. I found
it's
that a
like
bit odd.
it's
I did
really
find it a bit odd.
it's really bizarre that we're
Yeah.
spending money on going to war we don't. It's like they're saying about oil. We don't get oil from Russia. We've got our own oil fields, and the problem is we give our oil away at knockdown prices, and then we buy it in from I think it's Norway. I think it's Norway. We do get, but there's no reason to, because the problem is it's like we always have done. Like if you can remember, like all the way up until even a couple of years, even now, actually, you could go to France and you could come back with beer, cigarettes, cigars,
Yeah.
wine, petrol, and what have you, half price. Well,
Yeah.
how was that possible that you could go and get all those items half price when we were selling all those items to France in the first place? And it's called not looking after your own people. And it's always been the same.
Well,
This is a big problem. And it's like oil now and electricity. We've got it. There's no reason why, but people accept it. And it's like every time I see anybody wanting a pay rise, it's always the same bloody people wanting it. You've got nurses, right? Yeah, it's always the nurses. It's always the train drivers. But,
yeah.
what about the
Ah,
people? What
isn't
about
that
the people?
unionists? We're talking about unions, and we're talking about the fight against unionists. Unionists, what's it? Unions. Is that Labour? Isn't it like?
Well, the thing is, I want a
Is
union man, but
doesn't
the
everyone
thing
want to be
is,
on
it
zero
don't come
contracts
into
now?
it. It don't come into it for the simple
everyone's
reason.
everyone's signed up to an agency, and then they're going to be staying there for the rest of their life.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. The thing
Yeah,
is,
yeah.
who's looking after, right? Yeah, the people, the workers that don't have a big wage. They don't even have a normal,
They're
like
not.
the
Yeah,
normal wage,
that's over,
right?
isn't
Yeah.
it?
Say again.
I said it's over, isn't it? No, I don't mean in a bad way. Isn't it over? The idea of having protection from employment, and the longer you stay in that employment, it's called a contract, right? The contract was there, and it grew, and it was like
Yeah, but some people do have. You see, the thing is that comes
they,
from the government saying you can't expect to have a job for life. They have. The problem is they haven't
yes,
even got a job for life. The problem is, right? Yeah, they can come into politics and become millionaires in a few years, right?
yes,
Yeah, that's the problem. And people spout shite.
mm,
What they tell them, oh, nobody has a job for life. You know what I mean? That's because you've been told and you've been brainwashed. Yeah, people do have jobs for life, and it's usually the people that telling you there is no jobs for life, and it's always the millionaires, and it's always the MPs. It's always
yeah,
the people in politics that are telling you.
mm,
Another thing, I'll tell you this before I forget when we're talking about being abducted and microchips. Someone in
yeah.
media
Go on.
said, microchips. Oh, it's hard to believe about microchips, and you're being chipped, and you're being followed and all this lot. And I said, well, actually, it's actually worse than that. It's worse than what you think. And well, how can it be? And I says, and one person were talking, and I said, you should know by looking at your TV program and looking at some of the science correspondents that have been talking, right, yeah, on your show,
Yeah.
and go back to an item that they actually showed last year, and it was about implants, right, yeah.
Yeah.
In the hand,
Go on. Have a stab.
people,
Sorry for interrupting. Go on. We're doing the word implants, and then we're going to say, what do they look like? What do they look like? So what I'm going to just joke with, so
well,
people can
the
learn about,
implant, it showed
are
you,
they, but
it
are they
showed you, it was like a little tablet,
like, yeah, but
lozenge.
like biorhythm? Are they understand your biorhythms? Do they understand your thought processes?
Well,
Can
the
they
thing is, if
interfere
you listen to what I'm
and
saying, this
yeah,
is what it was used for, right? You're plain and simple.
all
Put
right.
under the skin, it has your details of who you are,
Ah, yeah,
right? Yeah, and your details, your working details, your a P45, all that type of thing in this,
yeah,
right? Yeah, and how much you get paid from your wage. And the thing is, the chip is part of a chip and pin, right? Yeah, so you only have to swipe over at any counter at post office, bank, or anywhere to make a payment, right?
yeah,
Yeah, and that is being done already. It's been tested,
yeah.
and it's in Sweden, and they expect to have it all working in that one country in I think is it in 2030 to all be going without any money.
Yeah.
So you're talking about me talking about just a little implant about keeping track of us. You don't
mm,
believe in all this technology. Oh, it's too much sci-fi. But
yeah.
yet it happened last year,
It was
and
obvious now.
on a wide scale, and we're looking at paying people's money, wages, and buying products and what have you by it being able to go and swipe
Yeah.
over like one of these what do you call it, pay points.
Yeah.
So you don't
Yeah,
need money.
yeah,
So you
like an
just go
oyster.
get your goods, pay your money in. You know what I mean? And I said to them, "It's already there." Oh well, I don't know anything about that. I said, "I have just
No.
told you."
Well, there are programs, aren't there? But they're overt now. These programs are speaking loudly against the noise of the world. They're speaking loudly, and there's you say it 3 times, Ross. It works, doesn't it?
Oh
They're
yeah,
speaking loudly. They're speaking loudly. I don't know. I don't know. But what I'm trying to say is, but yeah, you are right. There is this overt. Well, it is what it is. It's just like we're moving into AI. So artificial intelligence is like, do you know what? There's too many sides. There's too many undercover cops. There's too many this. There's too many that. Why don't we just control everything via the microchip and the artificial intelligence, which kind of just it just runs everything and picks. It knows who you are, where you are. So it's like it can't. If it's like someone steals your identity and it says, "Oh, Ross Kellett, well, I thought you were in Afghanistan wearing a bikini on the day of 27th of the 6th at 6 p.m." You went, "That can't be bloody me, mate, because I was there at London Bridge letting off a firework." I don't know. It's random. So what I'm trying to say is that AI is the best friend you can have, but unfortunately, the best friend that's implementing it is not your friend. So as much as it
yeah.
sounds
Well,
great,
we've seen
so
all
it's
the
like
things.
basically, you're either going to be your enemy's best friend, and he'll be yours by just going along with it, but being against it, basically, the other person that's supposed to be your mucker who's using you, he don't care about you either. So it's like we're damned if we do, and we're damned if we don't, aren't we? But
Well, I
I
mean,
do
the thing
believe
is,
in
you've
one
got all
thing,
these
Russ.
big
Russ,
billionaires saying
no,
how bad it is.
yeah. But but being a billionaire, Russ, they're already on one side, aren't they? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Well, this is
They're
what I've
they're
said.
not they're not in the middle, are they? They're like, oh, do I join
They've
your
always,
side or
it's
do I
like,
join your?
you know,
They
they're
didn't
there
get billions
telling
because
you
they were
we're
still
buying
in
this
limbo.
company, right?
Mm.
Yeah, which is like a media company, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
and sort of like and you're talking about this is bad for mankind. Well, I'll tell you what's worse for mankind, and that is people seeing people starve in poverty and
Mm.
with illness, and instead of buying a bloody company, sort of like all as it does is lets people spew, BS out
Yeah.
most of the time, sort of like doesn't help anybody.
Mm.
Why buy something that doesn't help anybody when you're talking about this is bad for mankind? Yeah, wasting billions on nothing is bad for mankind.
Do you know what it is, Russ? I'm going to say I will be a little bit human. I'm just going to have a little bite and a little moan with you. We are on the book. What I mean is, you can just get a little bit like that. Well, I do get bloody flipping pissed off, don't I? I won't lie. I will get pissed off because there is the billionaires. They're all part of one side, and they all have this institution that they're all part of, and it's beyond
Yeah.
the banks. And then they can have their ships and their sails, and they're all privy, and they all look after each other. Then you have the other lot who's on the other side, and they're all part of a communist kind of regime, but they're all part of one gang, and they're all doing all right, and their money will exchange, but it's all unofficial. And then there's me and you, who's fucking got no support, and they love to just sit there and just make you talk about it, talk about it. But all that stuff is going to happen anyway. But is it, when you could like think of me and you and you go, oh, these guys are got no hope, or someone's thinking, I hope they have HOPE. I'd rather have my own AI because I don't believe in GODs anymore, and I don't believe in DEVILs. I've had enough of all these idiots. They're all part of the same agendas on either side. They play the good, they play the bad. They're all
Oh yeah.
bloody. Yeah. I'd rather have artificial intelligence that I can trust, and I hope it comes from another race out there. And it goes,
Yeah.
do you know what, Mark? Do you know what? I can't stand these two either. Oh, I'm going to give you a little secret AI, and it might be a
Exactly what
UFO.
you're
No, do you
talking
understand?
about.
I know it sounds mental, mate, but do you know what? That's how much I don't trust none of these on either side here. And
Yeah.
I do believe in AI because AI is faster than 200 people thinking at once. It's faster than the Saudi regime, and it's faster than the Iranian regime, and its AI is more powerful than the CIA and all the rest put together. If you've got the best artificial intelligence looking after you, Russ, and me, then we will never be in this problem. We'll probably just be blipping through time, through the
Yeah,
matrix, and
but
we'll
the
be doing all
problem
right.
is it's what
It
are
will
we
be a
going to do with
blessing,
that?
mate. It will be a blessing
Yeah, but
compared to
will it
going,
though? Will it? I
get
mean,
on
it's
your
okay
knees and
having
start
this.
praying, Russ. Get on your knees and start praying.
Yeah.
And then if not, ask a Wiccan or a witch, please help me out of my dramas here. And ask the gods, and all of them run around thinking they're all great. They're useless. And ask all the rest of them, and they're all gangsters, they're all useless, they're all crap. And I'm not being funny. If
Funnily
you
enough,
had,
yeah, I've
yeah,
heard that
and if you
said
had
quite a lot
artificial
of times.
intelligence that wasn't Microsoft and it wasn't Google and it wasn't anyone, and it was like given to you by some super extraterrestrial force from the future or the
Yeah.
past, from a better dimension. And I went, do you know what, Ross? I'm fucking sick of these people. Sorry for swearing. And I'm going to give you the best artificial intelligence. I'm going to give you implants here and implants there. And these guys are going to have nothing on you. Wow.
The
I'd
problem
say, do you know
is,
what, Russ? You
the
deserve it.
problem is, it'll go to the
You
other.
deserve
It'll go to the
No,
people that
it
you don't
won't.
want
Do you
it
know
to go
why? Do you
to.
know why it won't do that? Because it doesn't belong to them. And that's the rule number one. The moment you go one of them, they own you. And then they tell you what to do, what to think, how you go and how you do stuff. If
Yeah,
they
it's
weren't
called the
part
old
of it,
boys network
exactly. In other
or the
words,
old
they're all
girls network
basically, yeah. And I'm not being funny,
as
but if
well.
there
Yeah.
was other extraterrestrial dimensions out there or races out, and they go, do you know what? I'm sick of them. I'm sick of you because they're all losing favor. They're not in favor. They're
The
actually
problem
going.
is
They're
the
in. They're
big
losing
problem,
favor.
Mark,
Yeah.
is that seeing this from my perspective as being abducted and meeting all these aliens and these races, they're all having the same problem with each other. You know what I mean?
Yes, but
And
that's
because
deliberate. It's
and
deliberate.
the whole problem is there is a war going on, and it's
There
not
is.
only out there. in space, it's happening here. And when
Yeah,
you
yeah.
tell people, how do you mean
Massively,
it's
it's
happening
happening.
here? You know, sort of like, and you're thinking to yourself, it's like I was told the other day, like, oh, well, you can't be a super soldier because you haven't been in the actual in the army. And I said, but I was taken, and I haven't been taken by a military unit from Earth, right? Yeah, I haven't been in regular army on Earth. This is a military unit which is run by an alien race. So it's got nothing to do with, sort of like military on this.
Yeah, but you'll have to
Although
admit,
people
Ross,
have
you'll have to
been
admit,
taken.
Ross, you'd have to admit, the moment you say that to someone who doesn't have a clue, they're going to go, "How does that work?"
Yeah, of course, yeah,
Then this is the
yeah.
problem. We're all
And
thrown these.
even when you
Yeah,
tell them how it works, they start asking you
yeah,
again. And you say, well, did you not understand what I just told you?
yeah.
And the other thing, then they're saying,
It's
like, Corey Good was a super soldier. You know, Corey
oh,
Good.
I kind of do, and I think didn't I can't think of his name. No, I feel bad. Anthony didn't S4 didn't he do something on Corey Good? Wasn't there something released? Is that the same guy, Corey Good?
Yeah, it's
And
and he was with
I
David.
almost felt, I
Is it
really felt
David
bad for the
Wilcock?
guy. I just went, yeah, I almost felt bad for the guy. If it's the same person, I can
It is,
picture
yeah.
it. I went, wow, they turned on him real quick, didn't they?
They have.
What I mean
Yeah.
is like,
Now the thing is, what they've said is this.
it's like,
What they said
do
is
they not
this.
understand that everyone's going through fucking mind control and it's like
Yeah.
everyone's being hit and just like,
But the thing is,
be a
this
bit
was
lighter on
only a
people.
couple of days ago, and somebody brought this up, and they said
Yeah.
he's retracted everything he said.
Yeah, under pressure by
Right now, the thing is, this
people
is a
who
good
have that.
point. If he's retracted what he
I'm not
said,
saying he's right or wrong, but when you're
Yeah.
being attacked, like mind control,
yeah, but we're all
witchcraft,
attacked. I get
correct.
an attack.
And
I
that was
get
an
an attack
overt,
every day. If I
yeah,
don't get one, I think, what's going on?
yeah.
If I don't get an attack, if I look in my messages, I ain't got an attack. I think, what's going on here? But my point is this.
I think it's more
we've got all
important, though,
these.
sometimes, Ross, that most people understand what an attack looks like, what it feels like, and give them a description. Oh, that can come from people. And then they're going to go, how does that work? But sometimes you've got to say, there's a fourth dimension. They're the ones that hide, and they're either called gods or demons or whatever you want to call them, because that's how they hide behind. It's very easy. It's like it's already
But what
written.
about those that are? What about those nasty little?
Yes,
that
and
are
they're the
on
ones.
that
They're the
don't
ones that are being
need-
helped. They're the ones that are being helped by the same
Funnily
ones
enough, yeah, that's been said.
because they become. It's almost like they've been given a little card to just go play naughties. Because the more people that do corruption and try to suppress you and demoralize you and beat you down, it just seems like it's like I'll give you some free credits for that. But the moment you want to
the point
meet,
is this, Mark. The point is this.
Yeah.
So if all what's been said, if he said, "Oh well, look," and retracted it all, and he said about this solar warden, and I've been asked, "Oh, are you in a, secret space program?" I'm in a secret space, but it's not the same as any of this, but it is secret. Obviously, it's not as secret now as I've told you. So now, and it's a program in space, yeah, and on this planet as well. And no, I haven't heard of Solar Warden. How many of these people have you heard that have said, "Oh, we've seen all these names that have been
different
in
programs
in this program,
Yeah.
sort of like for Solar Warden, and it don't if it don't exist, then they will." And how many
you
people
can't
have put the
prove it
name
or
to it? How
disprove
many
it.
people have put the name to it and said, "Oh, I'm on,"
Well, it's
and you're finding
confusing.
out
It's
now,
like
wow,
saying I'm connected to, and forgive me if anyone's into Ashtar of the Galactic Federation, and you're like, who is this person? Why can't I bloody talk to them? And it's like you get people get wound up and like, and then they watch you get beaten and they get you put down. They're like, who's Ashtar from the Galactic Federation?
Well, I
And
remember
who's
that
and
came.
then
Remember
and
that
who's
came from the
channeling this
television,
one over here? He has
a
blue light, and
broadcast,
his
didn't it?
name is
Remember? That
And they
came
get
from a
really upset
broadcast.
if you talk bad. And I remember watching them getting beaten over these people. I'm like, wow, no one's ever going to find this person. They're not going to meet them.
Do you remember that
It's
on
madness.
television?
Is
That
a
that what you just said was from a communication. It was a
yeah.
broadcast, and nobody could figure out where it came from,
There was
you
that.
know, who
Yeah,
it was or anything. But you know, but I understand what you're saying. Yeah,
yeah. Sometimes I think what I'm trying to say, Russ, is as much as I've learned about all that extra stuff that's supposed to push your consciousness into the fourth dimension, which is they're all sitting there now, mind controlling us. That's, I think, the whole point of it. And the fifth dimension is if you can even get past them, that'd be great, because now we can find out who they are, and then we can really talk to the
you can
extraterrestrials.
actually, you can,
Legit. Yeah, yeah, you
you
can. But what
can.
I'm trying to
I
say is,
mean, the thing is,
how does
it
anyone ever
only
do that,
works.
Russ? It
It
forces
only
them into
works
occult
if
circles. That's
yeah.
what I believe. It forces them to become a mason or a witch or a droid, whatever you want to call it. Sorry, not to be rude about it, but it kind of
I know
forces
what
you
you're
into,
saying,
yeah. And then
but
what happens is,
you can only
but
attack you
what do
if
they
you
really,
believe. If you believe and you believe in that energy, and that energy can find you, but if you're working on a different principle, it can't touch you.
yeah. But what I'm trying to get at is, like even walking down the high street, and hear me
Yeah,
out if you don't mind me saying so, and you wonder where. All right, so I came back from Eastbourne. I'll just let that one out. And I went to London. I did some sort. I had a temporary work thing there. I went and
yeah,
did a few surveys for a company on behalf of X.
yeah.
Doesn't matter. And I went through parts of London, no problem, blah blah blah. And you meet all the different cultures. And I came back and I went, bloody hell, what's going on here? You just walk through. You could cut the atmosphere with a knife, and dodgiest souls are walking down that street. I'm not being rude or anything, but even just the culture of the people around you just went all one way, and the energy. And I just went, it's a complete mind control event. The whole thing to segregate people from 5 bus stops that way into a new town, and you go this way, and you go, I've just landed on the wrong side of London, and the vice versa, and you can go to somewhere else and somewhere else. I mean, you don't realise how much mind control is going on. Here's one for you, and I might upset and might offend people, but I was just driving through, and I'm just like, if you imagine shaking yourself off and you went, do you know what? I'm just driving through, and I've gone through one place, and all of a sudden we've gone into another place and call it Hailsham. The energy dropped so much. I was like, what the hell is going on here? Even her driving, the one who's driving with me, I don't have to say her, her driving became stressful. And I'm like, what's going on? The people and the energy became stressful. The streets became very difficult. And I went, what the hell is going on here? And all you could think is, we need to get the hell out of Hailsham. And you know what I used to say to myself, and it sounds crazy. I'm going to have a laugh with it, Russ, because some people can see the humour, some probably don't. So every time for a whole week after, they went, Hail the Sham. It was like, Hail the Sham. It felt like there was some dodgy black witchcraft going on there. Hail the Sham. Everywhere around that place, it just looked like there was some evil entity growing under the. And then I think I've realised when I googled it a bit, there was there's some connection to, and you have to hear me out. I don't know if it's just a great little detour, but it was notorious for a big asylum, like a mental asylum or whatever it was. But I don't trust this world. And the moment you run into an energy indifference that's so heavy and so, I could be wrong, but that's how I pick up on stuff. I'm
Well, the
not
funny
saying I'm.
thing is, I've witnessed that myself,
Uh,
and it not so far, you know, sort of like from not so far from Liverpool, Chester, not so far from Chester, where people are very different. And then when you get out into the what you call the Badlands, you know, sort of like where there's not a lot apart from countryside and
mm,
woodland. The people are totally different, and you can see it. You can see it
yeah,
in, you know, sort of
it's
like
it's
these
an energy thing. It's an
locals, these
energy thing.
villages,
I Yeah,
and
such
you know,
an
and especially if they speak a different language, and if they speak a different language, you know, you stand out a mile, you know, and you're thinking to yourself, wow, you know, and you just know that you're not welcome. You know that you're not
Yeah.
welcome there.
And that's the
Yeah,
whole
and
point I'm
that's,
trying to get
but
at,
then
Russ.
there's some even in like around North Wales, you
Oh
know what I
yeah.
mean? It's like very strange. But then even some villages, what I've come across in South Yorkshire and what have you, and going over to Lincolnshire again, some of these places, you know, you stand
Yeah.
out because of your accent, and it's almost, you know, another place going up
It's
towards Manchester
It's a
where
bit like that movie. Sorry for interrupting you. I'm going to have a little laugh with you. But remember that movie, The American Werewolf of London? Do you remember the movie?
exactly the same
Yeah.
as that.
Yeah. And they all
I'm
walked into
not
the pub.
joking.
And then it's like, and you had the English doctor, like, and then you had the two Americans walking there. You got to laugh with it, you? Because they're all telling you the same story, and then they
But
overtly tell
it's
you. And it's like, no, we're
yeah,
hiding a secret here because it's like the wolf man and the wolf. But it's just like, but the energy drops. When the energy drops like
exactly.
that,
Well, this is what
there's
I'm
a dark
saying.
force. They're trying to
Oh
hide something,
yeah,
and they
yeah.
could be hiding witches. They could be hiding
Werewolves,
gods or whatever. With these little extraterrestrial nutters. Or whatever. I don't
aliens.
know. Whatever it is. But normally, if you're a high intelligence extraterrestrial, you'll be in London walking around, and there's just no one above you. It's just like when you get to the heavy stuff, you just go. You're not from out there, mate. They're actually containing them further down like that. It's like, almost like a fallen angel. But I
I
don't think
know
it's
what
that
you're
bad.
saying.
Yeah,
Like I say, I've
it's
come
heavy
across
stuff.
this
It's almost like an
one place,
imprisonment kind of mind control.
one place
So,
where there were witchcraft and what have you.
mm,
You know, sort of like because there'd been a lot of UFOs seen,
yeah,
and we'd gone across, and a few people had said, you know, like keep away from there. I'd keep
yeah.
away from that area.
And then you've got to say why. No,
I
no,
think
literally,
I
and no one
think
can
I
say
will
why because they're
lie.
like, no, I felt that, mate. You stayed a full.
You know,
And there'll be a few
um,
mumbles like, yeah, cuckoo, get
yeah,
out of there.
exactly.
It's like, yeah, felt the demon. You know,
You know, I mean, but people are, you know, sort of like, you know, what they say.
mm,
Sometimes people don't like incomers, people coming in, you know, sort of like to their areas,
yeah.
and yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it myself. You
But
know,
they're like them small village town kind of. They're like in them old movies, a bit like the American Werewolf of London. I'm not plugging it, but it's just like a funny little scene where these two American dudes turn up in somewhere in Yorkshire, and then it just goes, ooh, it goes cagey, and the energy drops, and then obviously the evil happens, whatever it doesn't matter, and then but it's
there's a
funny because
secret. There's a
it's
big secret.
well, it's like you're not meant to be here, Ross. And
Yeah,
there's two sides to the world, and it's like you don't belong, so I'm going to curse you and make you feel bad. And then the other one's going to make sure you don't belong here, so I'm going to curse you and make you feel bad. But if you do, they do like you. Everything seems to go swell, doesn't it? It's like it's just mind control. It's a bit like,
it is. We keep on
yeah,
coming back to that same thing, mind control,
that's what
and
it is,
yeah,
Russ. I'm starting to say, do you know what? If you could give everyone as much information on how to discover and understand mind control and how to see it, feel it,
how to protect yourself from it.
how to protect yourself from it, and have many examples growing, I think you'd probably do more to protect and save people who are under so many
We're
different
going to be doing a show about that. We're going to be doing a
influences.
show
I think mind
about.
control, I think everyone's now to the point where if they're not fully awake, they're going, look, do you know what? At some point, I'm starting to think, wow, there is something going on here. Whether I'm being influenced by TV and music, uh, some
Biggest
bizarre,
form of mind control. Biggest form.
yeah, like a pimp,
I
or
see
I'm
people
sorry, or
watching
the
stuff and I'm thinking,
boyfriend,
what
the
are you
bad
watching that for?
girlfriend. I don't know. People just, if as long as you put it under some sort of context where it's happening to your mind, you need to understand yourself better and defend yourself. I think you've
Yeah.
got a better chance to see the whole wide world better.
Well, I'm going to be talking about that from somebody who
I think
works
if I
within
was
that
taught a
kind
lot
of
more about that,
community.
Russ, growing up, I think I'd probably, I'd be richer. I'd probably on a better path.
We
I just
all
feel like,
would.
yeah,
If
yeah. I'm
you
starting to think,
understand it and you know then you can control. And if you're part of that, then
There's so many influences, man. So
yeah.
many
Well, we're
influences.
coming to the end of the show. It's been
Yeah.
just an hour long, and it was like just making sure, from when you were talking the other day, making sure everything were all right, seeing how you're doing.
Yeah.
And like I say, keep up, this music, these music videos and stuff. Brilliant.
Yes, starting that. Thank you very much. And I love your shows, mate. I've seen they're doing really well, and you're meeting a lot of people. And good community you're in. There's a good community. I hope you're all
Yeah.
bumping into each other. I've been so busy doing what I'm doing on the changeover,
Yeah.
and it is what
Well,
it
you'll do
is.
well. You'll do well because your stuff's good, like I say.
Good harmony. Just
People
follow
you
the
need to look
energy.
at for that is the people that have seen things that maybe want to put something together and sort of like tell you what it will like, and if you can make something, then again, sort of like, have they got money to why not? Some people are wanting to make short films now, so come to you. I mean, if people are listening, come to Mark. He can put some great images
No harm in
together.
asking. Yeah.
It's good. Right then, listen.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mark,
No, thank
for
you.
coming on the show. It's been great and different, and that's what we like. So I will say good night and God bless you. And thank you, thank to Sandra. How you doing, mate? And we get chatting, and I forget there's messages over there.
I can't see
And
anything.
thanks, for listening, everybody, to the